What's up, everybody? It's Gomedex, and welcome to 2021. We've got Guilds of Ravnica drafts back again for the first time. They are player drafts instead of bot drafts. I'm super excited to get back into this format, so let's just jump into it. We have a pretty good rare here, Assassin's Trophy. Black and a green to destroy target permanent an opponent controls. That's permanent, period. It can destroy anything, even if your opponent has a problematic land somehow. You could destroy that. However, your opponent does get to search their library for a basic land, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. But that is really not that much of a downside, especially in Limited, where by the time you're using this to destroy something problematic, your opponent probably already has like 5 or 6 mana already. If you really need to do it. So Assassin's Trophy is a pretty great card. The only thing that's not great about first picking it is a 2-color card, so it does kind of lock you into having to be green and black, or at least splashing one of those to play it. So the other cards that are good here are definitely Deadly Visit is a great common. Oakryn Assassin's a fun uncommon, as is Night Veil Sprite. But I spent a lot of time doing the intro to the video, so I don't have a lot of time to talk over the rest there. So Assassin's Trophy it is, and we'll see what we get out of this pack. So if we just want to hold to Assassin's Trophy, we're going to take Pitiless Gorgon here, but that seems like a generally bad idea because Pitiless Gorgon is kind of a mediocre card. It's definitely playable, but it's not something you want to take this early in the draft. So, same with Moodmark Painter. Moodmark Painter is actually a card I don't really like at all. I think I've barely ever played this in Limited. So what do we have that's really good here, regardless of colors? We've got Conclave Cavalier. This is really difficult to cast, so I don't really like to take these super early. Integrity and Intervention is pretty easy to cast and pretty powerful. 4 mana for 3 damage to any target, and you gain 3 life at instant speed. Alternatively, if you're stuck on mana, you can just use it as a little pump spell. Integrity. So I think that's probably the best card here. Healer's Hawk, however, is a great white common. Bounty Agent seems like a fine vigilant creature there. And Piston Fist Cyclops is a lot of fun to bash in with. But I'll take Integrity Intervention here and not really miss out on a whole lot there. So now we have Sky Knight Legionnaire to go with the Boros pick. As for Golgari, Undercity Uprising is not actually that powerful. It's kind of a really expensive fight ability. It has a huge potential because it gives your entire field death touch, but it only allows one of your creatures to fight one of their creatures, so it's kind of like a really expensive prey upon a lot of the time, which is just 1 mana, target creature fights another creature. The only big difference is obviously since this gives death touch, you can have your 1/1 fight their 6/6 and win, but I just haven't found a lot of situations where you're getting a huge amount of value out of this for the cost, and there's a lot of great removal in this set, so this is kind of on the weaker side. So the Golgari card, not a huge fan of. Severed Strands makes you sack something to kill something, and Spinal Centipede's a mediocre creature, so all that stuff's kind of mediocre. I do think Sky Knight Legionnaire is straight up just the best card in this pack, outside of maybe Drown Secrets. If you're trying to do a Mill Demir deck, oh my god, somebody's going to be playing a double Drown Secrets deck. I really don't want to play against the people that are in this pod. And this is a really weird how these packs have gone. That's 2 Drowned Secrets that we've seen. We've also seen 2 Integrity Intervention and 2 Conclave Cavalier. So we're definitely just going to take another Integrity and Intervention. The Intervention part is the really powerful part, the part that's really great, but having Integrity slapped on obviously gives you a little bit more value there. So pretty great card. And I'm happy to take another one and kind of just solidify ourselves into Boros here. Not going to be rolling with our first pick, but as we saw, there just were not very powerful Golgari cards in those packs, so we moved to the powerful cards that we were seeing. However, in this pack, there are not powerful Boros cards. Not a huge fan of Pack Beast. It's the kind of card that's usually like my 23rd card. Maybe I run one if I'm really looking for cards to fill out my deck, so not going to take it this early on. I guess now I am just taking another Golgari card, but there's nothing that great in Golgari. There's the Prey Upon that I was talking about. Prey Upon's like a fine, cheap removal spell. The Guild Gate is obviously good. The mana fixing is always good, especially with the restrictive mana costs that are in this set, like on Conclave Cavalier, where it costs double green and double white. So you do want to take Guild Gates relatively highly. I guess I'll just take like Prey Upon here. I don't know. Definitely not looking to to move into Golgari. And this is weird. This is this has been a rough start to a draft because we started with a good Golgari rare, and then we just saw multiple quite powerful Boros cards, and now we're just seeing pretty much nothing. I think the strongest card in this pack is either Undercity Necrolisk, which is kind of a weird one. I haven't used this too often, but it seems pretty alright. I guess I'm taking that because it would go into a Golgari deck if we do that. But Rosemane Centaur is definitely the one that I've played with the most that I like here. I suppose we could try to do like Selesnya splashing in these Boros cards, but again, that would not be super ideal. And now, yeah, now again, we're seeing a lot of Golgari, so I guess I'm just going to be flip-flopping back and forth between Golgari and Boros here until I know for sure that Boros is dried up. So we have the Severed Strands, sacrifice a creature to destroy a creature. You are 2 for 1ing yourself by doing this. You are having to sacrifice a creature and play the sorcery to kill one of their cards. So in that sense, it's not super valuable, but in Golgari decks, you can have a lot of cards like the Generous Stray to sacrifice that aren't a huge loss to sacrifice them, because you're already getting value just by playing them, so Severed Strands is pretty alright. I do have Prey Upon and Assassin's Trophy in Golgari already, though. Both of those are pseudo removal spells. Prey Upon's a fight spell, and Assassin's Trophy's literally a removal spell. So I think I'm more prone to just take the creature there. And if I'm being honest, the strongest pick out of that pack might have actually just been the Guildgate itself. Just get that mana fixing ready. Another difficult pack here. We're going to take one of these random Golgari cards, Burglar Rat, Generous Stray, or the Arboretum Elemental. Probably just one of these two. Or we're taking Righteous Blow as Boros removal. Yeah, this is rough. I am going to take the Burglar Rat. As strange as this draft has been going, I do feel like we have really not been seeing Boros after those really good Boros starters. So I think we have to just take the Golgari card there. And yet again, I guess we could take a Selesnya Guildgate here. Crawl Forges is alright. I think I'm actually going to roll with Crawl Forgers. I do like that card. I think we're... now there's a Healer's Hawk and a Boros Guildgate and 10th District Guard. Maybe we've just been opening some weird packs. We've seen really weird stuff in the rare slots. This is just a strange way to get back into the format. I don't know how I feel about this at all. Yeah, I think I like Healer's Hawk more than like 10th District Guard. So it's like Healer's Hawk or the Guildgate for me here, because Moonmark Painter is a very mediocre card, even if we end up in Golgari. Alright, so we're going to have a really interesting time getting back into Ravnica here. I've got half a Boros deck and half a Golgari deck, and it's going to stick that way for a little while. As I said before, not a huge fan of the Undercity Uprising. I think I'd prefer just the Centipede over it for now. Now we've got the... we've got... the common white creature for the Boros deck or the common green creature for the Golgari deck. Both of these are kind of mediocre. I guess I already have like a 4-mana creature for the Golgari deck, so I'll take the one for the Boros deck. I am really hoping that we see just a powerful rare in one of these two things, and I can just commit to that in the final pack, because this has been a difficult first pack. And we got a Severed Strands last pick. I don't think it's that bad. I definitely think it's playable. But you definitely want cards like Burglar Rat and Generous Stray that are getting value off of Enter the Battlefield effects and then leaving a weak body on the board to use it. So, I mean, Severed Strands last pick makes me feel like Golgari is definitely more open. I think we got to go Golgari here. But it'll be difficult to do so because Conclave Tribunal is a very, very good removal spell for any white deck. So we would love to scoop that up if we do end up doing Boros. But Blood Operative's fun. 3 mana for a 3/1 lifelinker, and whenever you surveil, you could pay 3 life to bring it back to your hand. We're not likely to have a ton of surveil in Golgari. that is the Dimir mechanic, but we could get Surveil in black. Deadly Visit would be the premier card that we'd be doing that with. That's a 5 mana Destroy a Creature Surveil 2 card, so that would be really good, but I haven't been seeing a lot of Dimir at all, and really not a lot of Surveil, so I think I want Dead Weight over the Blood Operative, just because I'm not confident we'll be able to get a lot of Surveil to play around with the Blood Operative. And just a 3 mana 3/1 lifelink seems relatively weak. It's just way too easy for that to trade off with any creature if we're not getting the value of bringing it back multiple times. So we got like decent Boros stuff here, because of course we do. But I'm going to commit to Golgari at this point. We can't just keep flopping between two completely separate guilds in the second pack. If we were between like Boros and Izzet, we'd be fine, because red, white, and blue, we could splash them together because they're like color adjacent guilds. But green, black, and red, white are at completely different ends of the spectrum. We can't play a 4-color deck. We can't randomly splash in a couple Boros cards into our Golgari deck, unfortunately, so it was an awkward start to the draft in that sense. I think I'm just taking a Siege Worm here. It's one of the better Convoke cards in the set, because hard casting it for 7 mana as a 5/5 trample isn't terrible, and obviously it does get a lot better the more you're convoking it. So Golgari stuff, we have Undercity Uprising and Vicious Rumors. Vicious Rumors is... it just feels like it does nothing anytime I cast it, so I just avoid the card at all costs. And Undercity Uprising again, not a huge fan. I'm just going to take the Guild Gate here. Could try to move into Selesnya with stuff like Ladev Champion, but I've got more black than green at this point. I think we're pretty solidly in Golgari. Can't really try to hop guilds at this point of the draft. I do like Plaguecrafter a lot in Golgari. Golgari's primary mechanic is Undergrowth in the set, which is a mechanic that cares about the number of creatures in your graveyard. So Plaguecrafter works as sort of a removal spell. It gets your opponent to sacrifice a creature, and obviously it fuels your Undergrowth by putting a creature in your grave. This is really good if you play it on turn 3 following up something like a Burglar Rat. That's just a very small creature on the board, something that's really easy to sacrifice. So I like Plaguecrafter a lot in Golgari decks. Sprouting Renewal is a fun card, but it works much better in Selesnya than in Golgari, as you can tell by the symbol on the card. And nothing else here is great. Vigor Spore Worm is a pretty fine finisher in Golgari decks, but not a super high pick. We do already have a Siege Worm at the finisher slot, so hopefully we can just pick up more of that kind of stuff later. So Hired Poisoner is pretty good at fueling Undergrowth. Nice little 1/1 Death Toucher on the ground. Trades with whatever. And then obviously you've got a creature in your graveyard. Iron Shell Beetle's good at it. Devkarn, any creatures that cost 3 or less just automatically are good at fueling Undergrowth. I think I kind of want to just take another Plaguecrafter and then start taking cards like 1/1s with little ETB effects like Iron Shell Beetle very highly to combo with our double Plaguecrafter deck. Stuff like Generous Stray as well would just be really good. You hate to see it. You just... you just see all the great Boros after none of the Boros. There's just life sometimes. We'll take the Pilfering Imp. It's a pretty small creature, so if we have this on the board by the time we hit Plaguecrafter, we could sacrifice it to that. Alternatively, it has a good sacrifice ability on itself for fueling Undergrowth. So we will take the Pilfering Imp. That was a really sad pack to see for sure. And now I'm actually going to take a Discovery. I like the card quite a bit. 2 mana, Surveil 2, then draw a card. It's just a pretty great card. And if we end up getting a Dimir Guildgate or 2, we could potentially splash Dispersal without even needing to put any islands in our deck, because worst case scenario, we're just casting Discovery. This is just a pretty great split card, and I'm happy with it. Definitely better than Barrier of Bones, but Barrier of Bones is a little bit of a combo with Severed Strands, because you're gaining a little bit more life, but that's not a huge upside or anything. So now we have a Generous Stray, or an Iron Shell Beetle. It's got 4 creatures at 3 mana and only 2 at 2 mana right now, so I think I'm going to pick up that Iron Shell Beetle, but I'm open to more Generous Strays later on. I'm just going to take Boros cards anytime that there's nothing in our guild, And maybe we'll switch back into Boros in pack 3. Who knows? Righteous Blow or Hammer Dropper, those are both fine. I'm going to take the Hammer Dropper. I want to definitely get more creatures for that Boros deck. What is my life? I guess both of my guilds are just being drafted. That leaves, like, I guess, Is It maybe is the most open guild? Probably Selesnya, actually. But it's too late now. It definitely happens. We're going to do the best that we can with what we're getting past. Oh, wow. This is really... we're really just drafting 2 decks here, aren't we? Two different mediocre decks. I'm going to take the Portcullis Vine here, actually, over a Boros card. Okay. Dev Card, Dissident, and Iron Shell Beetle still being in the pack at this point actually makes me pretty happy. I actually want the Dissident. I think that card's pretty nice. It's got a good mana sink in the late game. I'll take a Crushing Canopy. I don't really want to play Crushing Canopy, but with how cut we're getting, we may end up having to play some random stuff like that. Okay, so we've got 19 cards here. I guess I only need 4 more playables. I am overselling how bad the draft is going. It's actually going all right. It's just, it really feels bad when we saw those really good like Boros rares late in that second pack. So I think I'm going to take Crawl Swarm here. 5 mana for a 4/1 flyer. Obviously very low toughness, but it's a flying creature. You're just trying to evade past any of your opponent's blockers and just get your opponent that way. Obviously, you can also discard creature cards to return it from your graveyard to your hand, which is really good in the late game. It makes it so when you draw your random 1 and 2 mana creatures like Barrier Bones, Iron Shell Beetle, just random stuff like that, those are actually still good draws in the late game, whereas usually they'd be completely dead draws because you can turn them into a 4/1 flyer. So now we have Deadly Visits or District Guide. I think District Guide's definitely better than Generous Stray. And Deadly Visit's definitely better than Necrotic Wound, because while Necrotic Wound is really cheap, it is very conditional removal. You need to have a lot of creatures in your graveyard to give a lot of -X/-X. So the best cards are definitely Deadly Visit or District Guide. And I think I'm going to take Deadly Visit. I don't have a ton of targeted removal right now. I just have Assassin's Trophy, Severed Strands, and Prey Upon, so I can absolutely use a Deadly Visit. And Deadly Visit is pretty much the best removal spell in the set. At 5 mana, destroying a creature, and then Surveilling 2 is super good. Surveil 2 is really good that late in the game, because by the time you have 5 mana, you basically never want lands. So if you have like 2 lands on top, this is basically destroy a creature, draw 2, which is absolutely busted, because you're just getting rid of the 2 lands that you would have drawn throughout the game. So I guess now we're going to take a big old Golgari rare, so it's definitely nice to see that. 7 mana for a 5/7 reach. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creatures in your graveyard, and you may put a green permanent with mana at cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Most likely we're going to play this with like Undergrowth 3 and maybe get a Generous Stray, but even then, that's a pretty powerful card. I'm happy to pick it up. It's also a cool rare. And I am so glad we stuck to Golgari. Honestly, with how this pack looks, I think we would have been fine either way, even if we stuck to Boros. If we stuck to Boros or Golgari, we'd have a pretty powerful deck at this point, because Midnight Reaper and Hatchery Spider going into this deck now makes it look like a real Golgari deck. Like, powerful stuff. But at the same time, so like, same could be said with our Boros deck if we had Swiftblade Vindicator, because now we'd get a True Fire Captain or another Healer's Hawk or Wojek Bodyguard, like whatever we want here, which would be a pretty powerful card. Anyways, the card I'm taking, Midnight Reaper, makes it so whenever any of our creatures dies, we take a damage and draw a card. Absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal? I suppose that's how we're going to say it. In limited, because it just gives you so much card draw throughout the game if your opponent doesn't deal with it immediately. Even if they do deal with it immediately, you still draw a card off of the Midnight Reaper itself, unless they exile it. So really, really good card. And now I think I'll just take a Child of Night over the random wall. Again, we would be in a fine position if we were Boros too, because now we got Luminous Bombs or Hammer Dropper or Healer's Hawk. Some fine cards. Ooh, don't mind if I do take another Golgari Guildgate. I do like Spinal Centipede. It's a fine card. Not a huge fan of Wario Copy. I like the Centipede better. Giving you value when it dies is pretty nice when you've only got 2 toughness. But we're definitely going to take the Guild Gate, just smooth out the mana. I've got 2 Golgari Guild Gates here. Very nice. So now, Hired Poisoner, Prey Upon, Mephitic Vapors. Alright, these 2 cards are basically useless. We have Hired Poisoner or Prey Upon. Kind of want to just roll with the Poisoner here. We don't actually have that many like high power creatures for the Prey Upon. They also work with Death Touchers, obviously, but we don't have a ton of those either. So we will take the Hired Poisoner. Now we have a Circuitous Route for ramp. Doesn't seem super necessary. We do have some big stuff, but not a lot. Spinal Centipede or Generous Stray. I'm going to take Generous Stray over Spinal Centipede since it gives me another green permanent to drop out with Hatchery Spider if we get that going. Now we see a Boros Challenger this late too. Would have been sick. Would have been sick, but I guess we're taking Portcullis Vine. I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to play Moodmark Painter. Well, I guess my curve is kind of bad here. Fills out the curve better than anything else. Gives me an actual 4-drop here. Now we're taking another Generous Stray. Wow, what is going on? I'm just not even going to comment on it at this point, but Wojek Bodyguard this late too. Does kind of make you wish you were in Boros. I'm going to take the Omnispell Adept because I definitely have 4 of these. So this is just 20 free gems because I'm not playing either of these cards. We're not going to sideboard into Boros. This is a Premier draft as well, so we can't even if we want to. So that was arguably a bit of a dumpster fire of a draft, but while I did stumble, I got a cohesive deck out of it. It's not the end of the world. Just a strange start to the draft. I think that first pack just really confused me with the cards that I was seeing getting passed around. The packs were generally just bad in general near the end of the first pack. But I digress. Out of this first pack, we need to cut 4 cards. I didn't get any Dimir Guild Gates, so Discovery is the only playable part of our split card. It's 1 and a black to surveil 2, then draw a card. That's a pretty fine draw spell. The question really is, do I want a random little draw spell in here? Definitely going to take out the Portcullis Vine. We've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I have 20 creatures right now. I do want a lot of them, and I want them going to the grave with my undergrowth stuff, but I think I can cut a creature or 2 here for sure. Let's get rid of one of the Generous Strays. And I guess one of the Child of the Nights. Child of Night, it's nice against aggressive like Boros decks sometimes, because they often have creatures that are like 3/1s, like high power, low toughness. The problem is it's got 1 toughness, so it trades with literally anything. It dies to literally anything. So there are a lot of situations where Child of Night is just not great. So I think I'll cut 1 Child of Night, maybe even the second, but I really want to have enough 1 and 2 drops that I could play Plaguecrafter and potentially sacrifice something that is not Plaguecrafter, so I can leave a 3/2 on my board afterwards. It's especially nice when you get to sacrifice like a creature you just attacked with, so you like upgraded your 2/1 lifelink into just an untapped 3/2 or something like that. I think that I will go ahead and drop out. Well, Surveil does fuel Undergrowth as well a bit. Maybe I drop out the Spinal Centipede. My creatures are generally pretty mediocre. We're definitely trying to hit our big boys at the top. I'm gonna cut a Discovery Dispersal. And we will run with this. And the color split looks like it's 8 Swamp, 7 Forest is what this deck wants, because we don't have double green until 7 mana. We do have a double black at 4 mana, a double black at 5 mana, and it looks like more black in general and at cheaper mana costs. We might even want 9 Swamps and 6 Forests. But this is 10 black sources right now. About 1 in every 4 cards is a black source. I kind of think I'm going to cut a forest and add in another swamp. And here is our first Guilds of Ravnica Premier Draft deck. We did end up in a pretty basic Golgari deck, multiple removal spells, lots of nice little creatures with ETB effects to trade off and chump block and all of that to fuel your late game undergrowth. Awkward draft as a whole. We've been over that several times. Could have ended up in a pretty sick Boros deck, but this deck looks very serviceable, and I'll take what I can get. So let's see how well we do in the gameplay. All right, starting off, we are going to have a turn 1 Hired Poisoner, and we can hold up an Assassin's Trophy for the rest of this game, but probably just going to drop creatures. I'm going to drop Devkarin Dissident to get aggressive here. Just drop the highest power creature. I can drop Burglar Rat later, and the later I drop Burglar Rat, the harder of a choice it's going to be for our opponent on what they want to discard. So obviously if you have a million cards in hand, we've got a ton of lands in hand, you're just like, okay, whatever, I'll discard a land. But if we can play that late game when they only have like 2 cards in hand, they might both be actually good cards. Ooh. Drawn to my Deadly Visit. I've just got a ton of interaction in this hand. If my opponent ever plays creatures, we are prepared. So my opponent is on Selesnya and Golgari. Probably one of those 2 guilds splashing in the other one. So now I get to drop Burglar Rat and still hold up Assassin's Trophy, so I guess I'll do that. I don't quite have enough mana to pump Dissident anyway. Suppose I should send in the combat first. Opponent is down to 12. They haven't played anything up to turn 3. So our early aggression, as small as our creatures may be, is putting some pressure on them. They have to discard a Vigor Spore Worm. Wow. I am happy about that. See, our 1/1 Burglar Rat killed a 6/4 without even dying. It didn't even trade. It's still on the board. It's crazy. All right, so our opponent has Ledev Guardian. All my hand is removal anyway, so I'm going to wait to try to kill that until I draw a card in case I draw an untapped land. It is a tapped land. If I drew an untapped land, that'd be great. I would Deadly Visit that, no problem. My concern is giving them a land when we know they have expensive stuff and they're heavily multicolored. Like, they might actually get a lot of value out of us giving them a land. If I kill that, I do 3, 4, 5. I do 5, put them to 7, and then I have Deadweight. I do have Deadly Visit up after this turn, so I think this is fine. We'll Assassin's Trophy their blocker. They will have more mana at the ready, so they will be ready to play bigger, scarier creatures potentially, but if they only play one of them, and it doesn't have hexproof, they're under a whole ton of pressure because we're going to kill it. We're going to Surveil 2 to set up our future draws. And heaven forbid if they play a creature with 2 or less toughness. Then we're just having an absolute fantastic time. So opponent is down to 7, but they do have 6 mana untapped now. There's a Conclave Cavalier. That is the worst possible creature I could have possibly seen. There's probably worse creatures, but this one's a 4/4, and when it dies, they create 2/2/2 tokens. So, if I kill that, they just get 2 blockers anyway. They're at 7 now, so they basically have to block the Dissident, or they die? So they block Dissident and take 3, go to 4. I can have Dissident trade with the Cavalier, and then they have 2/2/2s. I think that seems fine. I mean, they don't die if they don't block the Dissident. They just go to 1, which might as well be dying. It's super risky. That's all I'm saying. I highly doubt they do that. So yeah, now we'll pump the Dissident to make that trade. Just have a couple 2/2s on the board now. I could deadweight one of them right now, so I have all of my mana available next turn for whatever I may draw into. But I don't have any 6 mana cards in this deck. I'm pretty sure I just have 7 mana cards like Siege Worm. So I think I'll hold off on the Deadweight just in case, because we do have enough mana to cast Deadly Visit and Deadweight in the same turn already. So I'll hold off. They're down to 4. Loxodon Restorer, though, will come in, gain them 4 life. So we do have the 7th mana now. I'm going to go ahead and Deadly Visit to set up our future draws while getting rid of this elephant. We have a Crawl Foragers and a Pilfering Imp. I don't really think that I want the Imp. I mean, it does 1 damage to them a turn, and it has flying. I think I want the Crawl Foragers more, though, for sure. I think I'm going to send them both. No, I'm going to send just the Imp to the grave. But they're not exactly what I'm hoping for. The Foragers is definitely fine. So I could Deadweight to kill one of the tokens, but that doesn't help me a whole ton. I'm only attacking with my 1/1 Death Toucher here regardless. Okay, trade the 1/1 Death Toucher into one of the tokens. Guess I can kill the other one with the Deadweight now. See what else they have. They do have 5 cards in hand. Sumala Woodshaper, 2/1, so that trades with any of our creatures. That's fine. And a 1/1 is drawn. Our opponent's definitely stabilizing, but we're doing a lot of trading here. This is an easy block. I'll trade my 1/2 for their 2/2. So that worked out pretty well. Now I can Crawl Foragers. And I don't really want to Deadweight any of their stuff. And I don't want to attack with Burglar Rat right now anyway. So we'll just play the Foragers and pass the turn. They only have 3 power of creatures right now, so potentially Foragers is getting in, but they have a lot of cards in hand. So your opponent is in the think tank. They haven't played a land in a while, so I'm assuming they've got 5 non-land cards there, which is not a good sign for us. But, I mean, if they're all just like 2/1s and 1/1s, like the Woodshaper and the Hunted Witness they've been playing, could still be fine. I think our coolest draws right now would be like a Hatchery Spider or something. Looks like they play another Loxodon Restorer. Now I can't really attack well, even with Deadweight. If I Deadweight like the Restorer, then they have a 1/2, a 1/1, and a 2/1. They could triple block, and if they triple blocked, I would kill all of their creatures. So maybe I Deadweight and I attack with Foragers? This is just a tough position in general. It's like either our opponent is going to stabilize or we're going to waste all of our resources trying to pressure them. Because if I just Deadweight and then send in with Crawl Foragers, if I trade with their whole field, they still have a 1/1 lifelinker against my 1/1 not lifelinker. And then I have a land in my hand and they have 4 unknown cards. So I think I'm just in a bad situation if I try to do that. I think I have to actually just sit and wait. It does not feel great. Oh no. So that'll kill my 4/4. Now I'm down to just a 1/1 against some sturdy creatures. Well, one sturdy creature, that 3/4. I'll go ahead and trade with the 2/1 at least, but I'm going to start taking 4 a turn. We are definitely in top deck mode. Crawl Swarm is actually very nice, because they don't have any flyers out right now. So I can start hitting them for 4 a turn. They're on a 3-turn clock if they don't have any more Loxodon Restorers or any life gain like that. Yeah, that'll do it. Prey Upon for the 1 damage to the Crawl Swarm is enough to kill it with its only 1 toughness, unfortunately. And there's another Woodshaper for our opponent, firmly solidifying them into the card advantage lead. Another Hunted Witness. Oh no, we have another land. Well, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I take 7 this turn. Not going to deadweight anything then, because I'd like to deadweight that Sunhome Stalwart. I don't think it'll matter. I think we're just out of this game. Our opponent has just stabilized and managed to 2-for-1 us with draws like Sumala Woodshaper into more Sumala Woodshaper type stuff. The Conclave Cavalier was really, that was the big hit there. That was like the 3-for-1, a 4/4 and 2 2/2s. And then, I mean, there's also the Flood. 7 lands versus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've drawn 3 more lands than my opponent. So I've had 3 more dead draws than they've had. So that definitely compiles to it as well. So certainly an unfortunate game overall. But that is one of the weaknesses of Golgari as well, is that you do tend to have, at your lower mana costs, the creatures aren't the greatest. You do end up with a lot of tiny little piddly creatures on the board. If we were in Boros, oh no, I'm going back to that sad second pack moment. If we were in Boros, our creatures would be a lot more impressive, and I think we definitely could have pressured our opponent down into losing that game, because they didn't cast like anything till turn 4. So that is the first Guilds of Ravnica game in the books. Let's head into the next round here. Just going to be eating some humble pie in our first Guilds of Ravnica draft, but that's okay, because if you haven't heard, which you probably haven't, because I don't think I've mentioned it, I am planning on doing a Magic Arena video every single day this year for as long as I can keep it up. I don't mean the whole year. I mean, until I decide I cannot handle it anymore, because it is going to be an effort, but I'm definitely doing it at least until the launch of Kaldheim. So for at least a month, there's going to be a Magic Arena video every single day. So expect a whole ton of these Guild of Ravnica drafts. Hopefully, in the future, I won't have to flip-flop so much between my strategies, because that was really sad. Not the most fun way to start. However, in terms of how well we're going to do in this draft, we've still got several games to go. Even if I lose this game, we've got another round after that. And our opponent is off to a great start with Pelt Collector, a fantastic rare. Saw tons of standard play, sees historic play even. The card is pretty busted. Not a huge fan of seeing that, so they're on a very fast Selesnya deck. They're focused on a very low curve to spread their field wide and... Oops, I accidentally closed Arena. To spread their field wide and potentially convoke things out for really cheap. Or if they have anything that pumps their whole field, that'll be really impressive as well. So I'm quite scared to see what happens here. It looks like they have red as well, so they may be splashing in some Boros cards. And there's a Centaur Peacemaker to start things off. Or to start things off. That's their 5th creature. They've played so many more creatures than you expect at this point in the game. So, Pelt Collector is pretty terrifying. It has buffed up into a 3/3. They're offering to trade with our Dissidents. I feel like I should probably take that trade because I am much less likely to get in a position where I can afford to take the turn off spending 5 mana to pump mine, whereas they're very close to it. They're 1 card in hand. If they're 1 card in hand as a basic land, literally next turn they're ready to pump that Dissident because they've got nothing else to do. They've got 1 card in hand. Whereas I have all of this stuff that I need to do to try to protect myself. So now I'm dropping Child of Night, and I can Severed Strands to kill the Pelt Collector or the Peacemaker. If I'm gonna kill something, it should be the Pelt Collector, but I kind of would rather keep Generous Stray on board because it gets them to not attack with their 1/1 creatures because it has 2 toughness, obviously. Okay, they're gonna attack with everything, then I guess I'll get the value from the Generous Stray of killing a 1 power creature here, and then I take 7. That's fine. I'm at 24. I can take the 7. I think I'm just going to hold off with the Child of Night for now. I might even want to Severed Strands Child of Night, honestly. It's definitely weaker on this board. I did hit my 5th mana for Deadly Visit as well, so I don't even have to sacrifice a creature yet. So let's go ahead and... I could also Crawl Swarm, but Crawl Swarm... at this point in the game, on the defensive, Crawl Swarm's just going to like trade with their Peacekeeper or something. So let's Deadly Visit, set up our future draws. Prey Upon and a Hired Poisoner. Prey Upon could be pretty good once I hit these 7 mana cards, but I think I really just want to hit these 7 mana cards, honestly. I'm just going to dump these in the grave. What they currently have on board versus what I'm currently able to cast... Like, I can stabilize? Oh, they're just going to scoop them up. That is a weird concession. That's a weird concession. All right, I guess they just had somewhere to be. Kind of an unfortunate way to end that game. Definitely ended prematurely there. But I do think I was actually getting to a pretty good position there. To where the cards on my board, plus Severed Strand and Crawl Swarm, could easily stabilize against what they currently had on board and like 1 random card off the top. And then if I stabilize there, once I hit 7 mana, I have just big walloping game enders like the Siege Worm and the Hatchery Spider to close the game out, which are quite good against Selesnya Boros with all their little tiny creatures. Really weird way to end it there, though. My apologies for the the water bottle crinkling. Getting some nice little water breaks in between the games. Make sure that my throat does not die. All right. Hopefully the queue does not take too much longer. So, what should we talk about? Talk about Call Time? We still can't really talk about Call Time. There's not too many Call Time spoilers yet. January 7th is the big day. It's the big Call Time like release event. I may do a reaction to the reveal stream as my video for January 7th. We'll see when we come to that. All right. This is not bad. I've got a 2-drop and a 3-drop and a 5-drop. I suppose I'll keep it. Got a Deadly Visit coming up at 5. I marked it on the calendar and everything. I'm all ready for it. Deadly Visit today. All right, Generous Stray is a pretty great draw now that I have the Plaguecrafter. I don't really want to like turn 3 Plaguecrafter and sacrifice a Dissident unless they play a really good creature this turn. Well, maybe. Because I was going to say, I could set up for Generous Stray into Plaguecrafter, then I'm only sacrificing a 1/2 to get them to sacrifice a creature. But seeing as they are Selesnya, they're likely to have a lot of small creatures and creature tokens. So this is the best that Plaguecrafter is going to get. If I don't Plaguecrafter right now, it's very possible that they just play a Hunted Witness, or they play 2/1/1 Lifelinkers, or anything in the world that is just going to be weaker than a 4/3. There you go, 2/1/1 Lifelinkers. I forgot the card name, but it's 2/1/1 Lifelinkers for 2 and a white. So, yeah, if I held off on the Plaguecrafter to try to get the Generous Stray value there, I would have been very sad. Because then Plaguecrafter is going to make them sacrifice a weaker creature than than I'd be sacrificing. All right, so I've got my Deadly Visit mana next turn. Do I want to trade Plague Grafter for 2 1/1s? I think against Selesnya, actually I'll offer the trade because, yeah, see, they don't even take the trade because those tokens can convoke their higher mana cost spells, or alternatively, they also can have board pumping effects that pump all of their creatures that they wouldn't want to do, or they wouldn't want to lose their tokens this early. So I do have 5 mana now. I can kill the Rampaging Monuments. What does it do? 3/3 trample. Whenever they cast a multicolored spell, it gets a +1/+1 counter. So I think I just want to play a 4/1 flyer. Problem with that is they are green-white. They're Selesnya. They've got 1/1 tokens. They could like prey upon the Crawl Swarm. That did happen to me before, earlier in this video, and it was sad. I've got Severed Strands as well. You know what? Let's Severed Strands, actually. Let's just draw a card and Severed Strands the Monument. Guildgate, not bad. Kill that, sacrifice a cat, and send in the Plague Crafter again. Just offer the trade again. If they didn't want it last time, we'll see if they want it this time. That is still a no, so we're just getting that free 3 damage in. And now I still have Deadly Visit ready for any future threats, which in a Selesnya deck, their threats can get much larger than a 3/3, such as a 4/4 Vigilance. And also, of course, Siege Worms, like I have. Go ahead and Deadly Visit that 4/4. Swamp, Swamp. We're going to say Grave, Grave. And send in with Plague Crafter again. Just offer that trade every turn until they accept it. Alright, down to 11. They do have 2 lifelinkers on the board, and as we've seen with the Loxodon Restorers and such, Selesnya does have ways to gain life, so I don't know how long they'll be down that low. So that Deadly Visit, as I said before, showing off its power there, we basically drew 2 cards off of it because we did not want those lands at all. 7 mana is the most expensive our spells get, and we already have 6 mana on board with our 7th in hand. They do end up Luminous Bondsing the Plague Crafter. I wonder if they've had that for a while and just didn't want to use it on such a small creature. It's probably the case. I mean, it is pretty much the best creature I have right now. Crawl Swarm is arguably better, but they could have Prey Upon to deal with that. Prey Upon would not kill Plague Crafter because they only have 1 power creatures out right now. So let's drop our Crawl Swarm, and I think I'm just going to hold up the mana for Assassin's Trophy. Child of Night. Again, this is the big weakness of Child of Night. It just dies to anything, including 1/1 lifelinking tokens. There's a Conclave Tribunal to deal with Crawl Swarm. I don't like that at all. I might Assassin's Trophy. Oh, it only destroys permanents and opponent controls? I was going to say, I might Assassin's Trophy my own Crawl Swarm so that I can draw it back with Child of Night, but I suppose I can Assassin's Trophy their Conclave Tribunal, and it'll get back. It's like the same thing. That's even better. I keep assuming this is only creatures because I forget it's a rare, which means that it's quite good. So yeah, get rid of that Tribunal. So we're hitting them for 4 this turn, for sure. Because it's their end step right now, they can't cast Prey Upon, because that is a sorcery. Alright, a land is not what I want to see. I'm actually going to hold on to Child of Night, just to have a creature in hand to discard to Crawl Swarm's ability if they kill it with Prey Upon or something. And I'll leave this forest in hand, just, I don't know. Green-white's not going to have any discard. Oh lord. Oh no. That is Divine Visitation. Any tokens that they make for the rest of the game will be 4/4 flying angels. So I can Moonmark Painter, but I only have 2 creatures in my grave right now. So if I Moonmark Painter, I give Crawl Swarm +2 and Menace. So I hit him for 6 this turn. They go to 1, but they survive. I think I'll hold on to Moonmark Painter. And if they get any Angels next turn, if they only get 1 Angel, I can still win with Menace. And if they just don't get any Angels, they're already dead on board, so that's fine. I probably should have played that Forest. I'm not against black. They're not going to have a random discard spell, as I said before. Send in the Lifelikers. I guess they just need to gain life to survive this turn. Must not have any more token production in hand. Or may not have any token production in hand, I should say. Alright, Fresh-Faced Recruit, 2 mana 2/1, Blade Instructor, 3/1 Mentor. I think that this is game. See if they got an instant speed trick, but if not, hit him for 6, go down to -1. That'll be it. That is another win for the Golgari deck. At least I think it's another win. These games have been going pretty fast. May have been 2 losses. I'm also pretty tired right now. I'm recording this after a full overnight shift. I wanted to make sure to get this video out, of course, on release of Guilds of Ravnica, so I had to stay up extra late, which late for me is up until normal people times. It is 12:16 p.m. right now. It's basically like noon. But for my schedule, I went into work at 10 p.m. So at 10 in the evening. Anyways, enough about that. Let's get in this game. This hand looks pretty great. We again have the Generous Stray to sacrifice to the Plaguecrafter. I can actually Iron Shell Beetle and make my own little threat here, and now I can just sacrifice that to the Plaguecrafter. Of course, the problem with doing this is I don't have 3 mana on turn 3 now, because my Golgari Guildgate comes into play tapped, but if I draw an untapped land, beautiful. Oh, that's so good. So I'm going to attack with both because they're obviously not going to trade, but now we force the trade by Plaguecrafter, making them sacrifice to Mere Spybug. Absolutely beautiful. And that also means now that I have my 3 mana, I can play Generous Stray next turn and play a tapped land and still utilize all my mana, which is wonderful. Then I'm only 1 mana away from the Crawl Swarm. I am loving this start. Our opponent is on Grixis. They're Dimir and Izzet. And Defkarn Dissident might be worth playing over Generous Stray, just to put more pressure on our opponents. I think I still like playing Generous Stray, trying to draw into our 5th land for Crawl Swarm though, because Crawl Swarm is going to be very scary. Didn't draw the 5th land, but now we have 2 different 2 mana cards, so if we don't hit a land next turn, we can instead just drop down 2 creatures, keep this pressure on hardcore. See, like now our opponent has Bardisan Bats, they're going to have to just trade with probably our 3/2 even, not even the flyer. And then I'm just going to play 2 2-power creatures this turn. Yeah, and they're under a lot of pressure. They do trade with the flyer. Take 4, go to 6. All right, let's just play the biggest creatures we have. Keep that pressure going. Opponent plays an Izzet Guildgate. Pass his turn. Is this just lethal? There's no Settle the Wreckage in this format, so I do not expect that to happen. They do have Artful Takedown, which is pretty nice. Tap a creature, give another one -2/-4. That will protect them for a moment here. Well, let's get a Burglar Rat, get him to discard another card, and spread out our field yet again. And now I have the Severed Strands. I can sacrifice my 1/1 Burglar Rat to kill whatever they play to try to block things. And that's the concession for that round. We just really had the curve there, getting that early aggression against the very controlling kind of Grixis deck. Just got off the ground running with way too many creatures before they could start playing all their spot removal. Super nice. I think that's 3 wins already, real quickly as well. Got a random reward. It is a Witch's Oven. All right, 3 wins and only 1 loss. The worst case scenario now is a perfectly average 3-3 run. Pretty fantastic start to the Guilds of Ravnica drafts. The drafting process was a little wonka, but the games are going all right. We've got a decent Golgari deck at our disposal here. And another pretty nice curve. I love the 2-drop into Plaguecrafter. However, I don't have the 1-drop into 2-drop into 3-drop where it's perfect, where I'm sacrificing a literal 1/1 to Plaguecrafter. But this will have to do. Of course, if our opponent doesn't play a creature this turn, we'll be playing a Generous Stray instead. Portcullis Vine. Whoa, okay. Sultai Walls. Sultai Defenders. What is this? Well, I hate everything right now. I guess I whenever I make them sacrifice a creature, they're just going to sacrifice a random little 0/3. I'm going to play a Generous Stray to draw a card. And it gives us another creature on our board to help convoke our Siege Worm. I think we're all in on Siege Worm now, but they're Sultai, they're Dimir plus green, so they are likely to have targeted removal to deal with it, like Deadly Visits of their own. Gateway Plaza, am I playing against a Gates deck? 5-color Gates? That's super cool. It's really really hard to do. Doesn't come up super often in this format. In Ravnica Allegiance, 5-color Gates was very common and very easy to do. But in Guilds of Ravnica, I feel like the Gates deck is generally weaker. But it's pretty cool, for sure. So, next turn I'll have 5 mana plus 2 creatures out, even if I play Plaguecrafter here. So I guess we go ahead and Plaguecrafter, get rid of one of these walls, and also present a creature with enough power to attack into the walls. There's a Rampaging Monument. Oh my god, they are on 5-color. I mean, probably. They're heavily multicolored for sure. So, Rampaging Monument is a 3/3. Gets bigger every time they cast a multicolored spell. I could attack into that with Plaguecrafter, but then I'm not playing Siege Worm this turn. I think I'd rather just play Siege Worm. This is probably going to get killed, so let's not be super sad when it happens. It's to be expected. Let's just be very happy if it doesn't get killed. Another wall. It didn't get killed. Okay. I can Deadly Visit the Rampaging Monument, but something tells me in this multicolored, scary deck here, you could very easily have better creatures. I guess there is always that added value of setting up your future draws with the Deadly Visit. So it may be worth it just for that. But I don't know. I have fine attacks here. The only thing that really blows me out is if they have an instant speed multicolored spell. It's been too long since I've played this format to know how many of those there are. But with Gateway Plaza, it could be in like any color. I don't think there's that many instant speed multicolored spells. If they did have an instant speed multicolored spell, when they cast it, they'd be putting a +1/+1 counter onto the Rampaging Monument, so they could block my Plaguecrafter with essentially a 4/4 out of nowhere, which would be huge. Alright, we'll drop a Devkaran Dissident. I don't believe there are any Wraths in Guilds of Ravnica, so I'll also drop Child of Night. And now next turn, if we're not going to Deadly Visit anything, I can spend the 5 mana to pump Devkaran Dissident up to a 4/4, and then I've got just multiple large attackers. If they don't put any more creatures on this board, I could just Deadly Visit their Rampaging Monument. Alright, so now they've killed the Siege Worm. We expected this to happen last turn. We got at least a swing out of it, which was nice. So now, if I Deadly Visit Rampaging Monument, their only creature on the board is a 0/3, and then I get to attack with everybody. So that is definitely the play. And obviously, we'll be surveilling too, and setting up our future draws. I feel like I've said that like 5 million times. That's the only thing I can say when I cast a surveil spell. It's just setting up my future draws. Alright, get out of here, Rampaging Monuments. Maybe they'll have a better creature. At that point, hopefully I can just Plaguecrafter. That's pretty cool. That would be super cute, yeah. But they'll probably still have the vine out by the time I played Crafter, unfortunately. We do have an Assassin's Trophy in this deck. We've got Severed Strands. Got more targeted removal if we end up needing it. And with Crawl Foragers out, we might. I don't actually need it yet, so the plan now is to not cast the Plague Crafter. We're going to save our mana to pump Defkarn Dissident to 4 power. That is really interesting. That is really interesting to me. I feel like that means they definitely have more removal in their hand. No, they're just going to block, okay. So we're going to trade Defkarn Dissident with the Foragers then. So yeah, that was going to be the plan, was to pump the Foragers up. Oh, they've got Golgari Finebroker. That's super bad. So I suppose they are just the 3-color, just the Sultai. They just like the Gateway Plaza. I don't want to see any more lands right now, game. So if I played Crafter, I'm just killing Portcullis Vine. I think we're just sitting here. Sitting here waiting to draw. Oh wow, they sacrificed the vine there. That's actually great for me. That's fantastic. I'm very happy about that. Oh, now they have a Hired Poisoner. I am no longer so happy. Because then I could get Plague Crafter to kill a like a 4/4 or something. So I can trade both of my creatures for Finebroker. But if I do that, I no longer have any creatures on the board, so then I cast a Plague Crafter. Hired Poisoner's gone. They have a 4/4 on board, and I've got nothing. I have to just take this. And I have to definitely not draw more lands. Things are not looking great. So I can Plague Crafter to get rid of the 1/1 Death Toucher, and then I could have a 3/2 and a 2/2 on this board. And then Golgari Finebroker doesn't attack well anymore. Then they just send in with Foragers. Because with a 3/2 and a 2/2, I have 4 toughness on the board, which obviously stacks well into a 3-power creature. Yeah, this does not feel awesome, but I feel like I might as well make my field better. Block there, keep 1 creature. Traded my 3/2 into their 3/4. They've got another Crawl Foragers. You hate to see it. So now we've got a 2/2 facing down, 2 4/4. So we're going to take 8 this turn, go to 7. Have 1 final turn to draw into something. Does that do anything? I can double block one of the Crawl Foragers now, and then I lose just the Necrolisk. And then, so I still have a 2/2 out against a single 4/4 at that point. Can't do that anymore. Because if I double block a Crawl Foragers, I take 7 now. Take 4 from a Foragers, 3 from a Whisper Agent. And if they have double Whisper Agent, I'm just dead. I mean, I can chump 2 Foragers, go to 1. Well, this was very sad. They have the status too. Wow. That was insane. Well, that was pretty unfortunate. Not the greatest draws on our end. It's actually impressive. I counted, that's why I was looking at their graveyard. I counted, including the lands in their grave, because they drew more cards than us thanks to the Portcullis Vines. So including the lands in grave, so including what they surveilled, we still hit like 3 more lands than them. And we didn't draw any extra cards. We just surveilled twice once. So that was sad. I'm definitely going to keep this. Hired Poisoner plus Prey Upon to kill anything we need to target. And turn 3 Midnight Reaper. Got some pretty juicy stuff to start this game off with. Hunted Witness. That makes my Hired Poisoner look very sad, as it has a not fun time. I could deadweight that, but this is the one that comes back as a 1/1 lifelinker, so they're still just going to have a little 1/1 on the board. Not fantastic. I mean, I'll think about potentially trading for it once I've got Midnight Reaper on board to draw cards every time I'm losing a creature. Because then, you know, I'm getting value no matter what, so may as well. Sun Home Stalwart. That is a creature I'm super happy to deadweight. Alright, so we're going to hold off on the Midnight Reaper so that we can kill Sun Home Stalwart before it mentors onto the creature and makes it bigger. Just don't want them to get any value out of that. Now we can afford to play Midnight Reaper and Prey Upon next turn if our opponent presents any creature worth fighting. Our opponent is on Naya, red, green, and white. So I can fight like the Wojak Bodyguard, but can't attack or block alone. So I definitely get in for 2 before I do anything else. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll draw a card here and get rid of their only blocker. It's bigger than a 1/1. Severed Strands is a fine draw, but I don't have a lot of creatures right now, so it's not the greatest. So now I've got Plague Crafter. Doesn't really do much of anything here. I guess I'm just attacking with Midnight Reaper and hoping they don't have a pump spell. Yeah, Pilfering Imp is flying too. What am I on about? I guess I could pilfer their hand. It's like draw a card, make them discard a card. That's kind of a combo. Yeah, I think I'd rather do that than just like ping them for 1 a turn for a while. Let's see what's in there. Oh wow, Conclave Cavalier, Rosemane Centaur, and Gatekeeper Gargoyle. They have 4 mana now, a 5th mana in hand. Gatekeeper Gargoyle is going to be really big, but we can just Severed Strands that. They're pretty close to playing Rosemane Centaur. Conclave Cavalier, double green and double white. With a Boros Skillgate, they're close to casting that too. I think Conclave Cavalier is going to be the scariest thing, just with all the value that can give you. The 4/4 Vigilance plus 2/2/2 Knights. Either of these we can just kill with a single spot removal spell and be fine. So let's get rid of that one. We'll get rid of that one. And now I know they don't have instant speed shenanigans, so I get to attack them for 3 pretty easily. And I'm definitely not going to Plague Crafter here, I don't think. I mean, Plague Crafter is like I get to draw a card and make them turn Hunted Witness into just a token. Maybe I should have just Plague Crafted there. So there's the Rosemane Centaur. Ooh, Crawl Foragers. So if they drew into a land, I definitely want to keep Severed Strands for that gargoyle. I think I'm just playing Crawl Foragers. And passing the turn. Definitely not sending my 3/2 into their 4/4. Unfortunately, yet again, we don't have any good sacrificial fodder for the Severed Strands at this point. I am very glad I used Pilfering Imp's ability, by the way. Trading my 1/1 flyer for their 4/4 vigilance that spits out two 2/2s is pretty fantastic. I feel like I've been happy pretty much every time I've used Pilfering Imp's ability, so I should probably just use that every chance I get. So Devkaran Dissident, I can play that and then just immediately Sever Transit away, because it's weaker than the rest of my creatures. I think that's the play. So we definitely need to kill Gatekeeper Gargoyle. Draw a card off Midnight Reaper. It is a Guild Gate. That is fine. We'll drop it down. I can attack if I'm trying to be aggressive here. No idea what's in their hand. Yeah, I kind of like attacking here. Nice, and that is exactly why I like attacking here. If I can get them to start chumping to where I can get rid of their stupid little 1/1s to the point where Plague Craftor definitely hits something good, then that'll be fantastic. Now this is really suspicious. This might be like a Bounty of Might, 6 mana instant speed, +3/+3 3 times, which is just ridiculous. That's just gonna hose me no matter what. It could be like a Sure Strike or something, though. I think I just don't block the token. If it's Bounty of Might, I'm just screwed, period. Because if I block the token, they can just give Rosemane Centaur +9/+9, so it's whatever. And if it's Sure Strike, then I really need to just not block. I guess if it's literally any pump spell, I should just not block. That's where we're at here. So down to 14. There's Ledev Champion. That is a mana sink that can keep making more 1/1s. That is not what I want to see right now. I can spend 5 mana to create 1/1s with lifelink. Mood Mark Painter to give Menace +3/+0. I can do that and have enough mana for Plaguecrafter. But they just have a 1/1, so whatever. I guess if I give Crawl Forager's Menace, it's 7 power, and they have to double lock it, and I'd kill both. So I kind of just get to hit them for 7. But then I don't have Crawl Forager on blocks, obviously. Do I just play Moodmark Painter and I don't even attack, actually? I kind of think that's the play. I don't want that to be the play, but I think that it is. Because let's see, if I do that and then I attack, I have a 3/2 and a 2/3 blockers. They attack with everybody. I guess I block the token with my 2/3. They probably just tap the token to their Ledev Champion, and then that attacks as like a 3/3. It could even attack as a 4/4 if they spit out another token with it. So they attack with 2 4/4s against my 3/2 and 2/3. Yeah, I don't think I just have good blocks if I send in and try to race here. I don't really have great blocks regardless, but certainly trading with Foragers is a lot better than anything I had there. The Ledev Champion is going to be a huge problem, though. I feel like I probably should have just cast this Plaguecrafter a century ago. Definitely last turn. Once they put Ledev Champion on the board, that pretty much confirms I'm never going to have an opportunity to... Well... Assassin's Trophy is a draw. If I Assassin's Trophy the Rosemane Centaur, they just have a 2/2 and a 1/1 as blockers. The champion only gets bigger on attacks. However, obviously they can make a 1/1 lifelinker every turn to chump block with. Do I actually have to Assassin's Trophy the champion? I kind of hate that, but I think I do. Just so they can't spit out tokens all the time. They do get to spit one out right now. And that is the play. They've got two 1/1 lifelink tokens now. Alright, Plaguecrafter is... I think I've held on to Plaguecrafter long enough. I literally don't think it's ever going to hit anything better than a 1/1 lifelinking token. It's just always going to do that. So let's play it and... draw a card at least. Question is, do I want a 3/2 or a 2/3? I think I'd prefer a 2/3, honestly. Get a nice sturdier booty. Drawn to Undercity Necrolisk, not bad. I will play that next turn. Justice Strike on Midnight Reaper. Midnight Reaper is finally gone, but I do get to draw a card off of it. Its final, last gasp. Gives me another draw, which is very nice of it. I'm happy. So... I think I'm okay trading Sure Strike for my Foragers, because I'm going to play a 3/3 this turn, so I have a 2/3 and a 3/3 to double block that, so I have good blocks after this. So we can get rid of this pump spell now. I was just not okay with losing a Midnight Reaper to a pump spell, and it's just Sure Strike. That's fine. That is a fair trade to me. Alright, nice. And then Necrolisk should stabilize here. We are back into a top deck war. We will see who is the luckier of the two. Oh no, they immediately drew something, didn't they? Maybe not. Looks like they're passing the turn. So maybe not. Oh my god. They did. Rosemade Centaur. Oh, now I got a Burglar Rat. Oh. Hate it. So... I kind of think I have to play Burglar Rat and sacrifice both my creatures into the Necrolisk. But then I take 6 if they attack with everything. But I'm killing a Centaur without losing a creature. The alternative is to just play a Burglar Rat. And then if they attack with everything, I double block a Centaur with a 2/3 and a 3/3, and then I lose my 3/3. And then I like trade with their 1/1 token. And I take 6, and then I'm sitting here with a 2/3. That does not profitably block anything. Alternatively, I could just not play the Burglar Rat at all, and then I double block there, take 7, and just have a 2/3. This sucks either way. So, playing this way, I am extra uber super dead to a removal spell. But a removal spell already puts me into a position where my only option is to chump block like a madman. So I'm just going to make a 5/5 so that I can win at combat anytime I'm blocking. Oh my god, this is getting really bad. We get into a top deck war and opponent goes 4/4 Vigilance, 4/3. That's their first 2 draws. Pretty terrifying. I'm going to keep Generous Stray on board. 5/5 is already superior in terms of power and toughness. The turning Necrolisk into a 5/5 really worked out there. I don't think there's any other play I could have made where they would have chosen not to attack. I am not having a great time. I'm under a lot of pressure here. See if we can draw out of it. We did draw into a Generous Stray, which at the very least did draw us another card, gets us closer to any form of answer. Maybe we'll actually get to cast our Spider this game. I want to play our Spider in just one game. I don't think we're at 2 losses yet, though, so if we don't If we lose and we don't play the spider, I've still got one last chance. I think we're 3-1. I could be wrong. I'm very tired of... Oh, I called it. I'm very tired. It is so late for me. Wow, I looked at 8 cards and all I saw is an Iron Shell Beetle. That's my only green card. All right, well, Iron Shell Beetle it is. A 2/3 is actually pretty nice. Makes it bigger than that 2/2. I could sacrifice Iron Shell Beetle to the Necrolisk. I have 14 cards in my library and they have 20. I might actually just mill out this game. Because I've got to find a way to break through all this nonsense that they have, right? Just a 5/7 reach doesn't do that. They double block with 2 4/4s and I'm trading a 5/7 for a 4/4. Same with Undercity Necrolisk. If I'm giving it Menace, I'm trading it for 2 4/4s. I might just mill out this game. That's kind of crazy. Does not feel great. So what else do I have? I do still have a Deadly Visit. I know that for sure. I really need to get a tracking app for Arena, so I know it's still in my deck at this point, because my memory is abysmal. I still have Siege Worm. I still have Deadly Visit. I've got some viable draws. I'm gonna play a Generous Stray and draw another card. Oh, I'm gonna mill myself out. Oh, let's do it. Let's get milled. There's Deadly Visit. So I can do this, and I still have 2 mana up for giving Undercity Necrolisk Menace. Get rid of their 4/4, that is their sturdiest creature. What are our next draws? Siege Worm. Siege Worm. In the house. Okay. So, I mean, with a 5/7, and then I'm playing a 5/5 trample next turn, I'm actually going to throw that land into the grave. I have 11 cards in my library, and I'm going to start getting aggressive here. If I turn Undercity Necklace into a 7/7 this turn, there is no way that they can block it that does not kill 2 of their creatures. And their only way that only kills 2 of their creatures is if they block with the 4/4 and the 4/3. And that does kill Necrolisk, but I think it's worth it. Sacrifice the Beetle and sacrifice the Generous Stray and attack with a 7/7 Menace. Because even if something crazy happens, like a pump spell, unless it's Sure Strike again, if they Sure Strike me again, that's super bad. They block with like Centaur and a 1/1 and then Sure Strike the Centaur. Okay, that's horrible. That's absolutely terrible. That is, I think, the one thing they could do that would be super abysmal for me. Otherwise, I don't think they have a good block for this. And then, even if they do, when they trade with Necrolisk, I then have a 5/7 Spider still, and I'm going to have a 5/5 Trample. So I think set up for a great spot. So they're going to trade for everything except Rosemane Centaur. That is super fine with me. We're going to start putting the pressure on with these other 5-power creatures. I think we're finding a route. We're finding an aggressive route to victory. It's going to be difficult, and it's terrifying, and I don't love it, but... Man, this Necrolisk gave us so much value from our little... Oops. Oh my god. I'm so glad they didn't have something, because I was trying to click to close the graveyard browser, but the comment went on right then, so if they had like some kind of trick, they would have really gotten me there. Because they didn't even order the way I would have wanted, which would have been just like, I don't know, probably kill the 4/3 first before anything else. Anyway, that just completely, my train of thought is gone. Let's send in the Hatchery Spider. There's no way they block. And now we drop another 5-power creature. We're doing A-okay right now. All it takes is a single Luminous Bonds or Conclave Tribunal, and we're scared. But yeah, just more creatures is fine. Now they can double block and trade with either of these. If I draw a creature, I might just send in with both anyway, though. Because if they don't block anything, then they go to 1. So that would basically, like, force a trade with one of them. That could be pretty cool. Did not draw a creature. If I just draw land, I think I just send in Hatchery Spider. I think I'd rather they trade for Hatchery Spider than Siege Worm, because I like having the trample once I get them to a pretty low life, because they're Selesnya, they've got all these random token producers and stuff. I don't want to end up milling out because they get another Ladev champion or something. So I want to be able to trample over nonsense like that. Or a Dawn of Hope would be another one. You can spend like 4 mana to make a 1/1 lifelinking soldier. There's a Legion Guildmage. Sure. Do they have any really good blocks against Hatchery Spider yet? I guess they can use that to start tapping it, which is not fun. They do have a really good block against Siege Worm now. They could block with a 4/4 and a 2/2, and I can only kill one of the two. But Hatchery Spider, I don't think they have any better blocks. Because if they block it with a 4/4 and a 2/2, it doesn't die. So, I mean, they just have to block it with all 3 if they want to do that. But at that point, just block it with the 4/4 and the 3/1. So that doesn't change the Hatchery Spider blocks, but it does change Siege Worm. Siege Worm can't really get in super well by itself. What happens if I attack with both here? If I attack with both, their best block would be to put the 4/4 on... Put the 4/4 and the 2/2 on the Siege Worm, and then take 5, go to 1. Right? That would be the best block. Alternatively, they lose Blade Instructor, and I lose Siege Worm at the cost of the 4/4, and then they just have a 2/2. If I attack with everybody, I kind of want to attack with everybody. If I were facing this and they attacked with everybody, what would I do? Probably go 4/4, 2/2, 3/1 on the 2/3, take 5. Oh, the only thing I don't like about that is if they somehow like fog or survive this in some way, and then they crack back 4, 5, 6, 7. Tap down. I guess not quite lethal. That was like the riskiest all attack button I think I've ever done. See what happens here. Alright, sure, go to 1. I still have my 2 5-power creatures, including my Trampler. Absolutely take that. There's a Spinal Centipede out too. They need another blocker or they're super dead on board. Do have a Lava Coil to exile that, so they do survive if they hold back here. They chump block 1, tap the other. No, we're absolutely slamming the attack here. So you tap the Siege Worm, chump block the Hatchery Spider. But then I have 2 beefy creatures against a single Guild Mage. They've got to top deck another blocker here. Or a removal spell. Removal spell would be the scariest thing for me, because that's the only way they present a way to stabilize. Or a creature that's somehow as big as mine. I guess if they cast their own Siege Worm, then they tap down the Hatchery Spider. Alright, Boros Challenger, they're going to have to chump block the Hatchery Spider with that. So we're still in a good spot. Drawing a creature is incredible here. Now they have to find a way to tap down 2 things. Oh, or they'll just scoop them up. Unless that was a misclick. That was either a misclick or just, I'm gonna die, so I might as well send a message. Either way, I think we were definitely winning that with our big beefy creatures. Well, definitely happy about how that game went overall. Oh, we do already have 2 losses. I think I was asking earlier there. To where if we lost that, maybe we were out of it. Well, 1,400 gems and 3 packs, and because I basically already own the whole set, as you saw when I drafted it, I got 80 gems from the rares that I drafted. So I'm basically at 1,480 gems already. It costs 1,500 gems to play, and I'm getting extra booster packs out of this. So I'm already at more than 1,500 gems out of the prizes. So really nice draft run, whatever happens from this point on. But we're going to try to take it as far as we can go. Just have a beautiful premiere to the format. What is your favorite color? I don't know why I thought of that. I was going to ask, what are you playing, opponent? We'll find out soon enough whenever they drop a card. Oh, I'm first. Oops. Oh, it didn't let me play anything till then anyway. All right, my turn. Drop a Child of Night. Pass the turn. I have an awkward hand here in terms of I do really need to hit a 3rd mana. We'll send in. I'm definitely winning the race if we keep hitting each other because I'm gaining life and they're not. Yeah, this hand might have been worth a mulligan, just because of how high the curve is, but I like to live dangerously. What I don't like is an opponent playing a bunch of 1/1 tokens that make my Child of Night and my Plague Crafter suck. I do think Child of Night in general probably valued it a little highly. I think it has very, very much underperformed. It has not been a good time. So we're doing great on the land draws. We're hitting them definitely fast enough, I would say. We have some time to wait till we hit the 7 mana stuff. Our opponent is on Boros. Played a Boros Guildgate and a bunch of planes. Here's a Parhelion Patrol as well. Didn't hit my 5th land for Crawl Swarm, which would be great because I could trade with the patrol. I think I'm just going to tap out for Siege Worm here and just be ready to Assassin's Trophy Parhelion Patrol, I suppose. Would not be surprised if Siege Worm gets Luminous Bonds or something, but we hope for the best here. That's where Convoke is so powerful. Get a 5/5 Trampler out on turn 4. Or at least for 4 mana. I suppose it's past that point. I've just missed a couple land drops. My opponent does have 5 mana already. They haven't played a land this turn. Just gonna send them in. Okay. They're red-white, they're not going to have random give a creature death touch stuff. You do have Lava Coil though. That's unfortunate. Alright, Severed Strands is at the ready now. Kind of want a Severed Strands are Generous Stray. Sunhome Stalwart can't attack well into my 3 toughness creature. So I'm definitely shooting Parhelion Patrol. The question is if I want to sacrifice Child of Night or Generous Stray. Child of Night can trade with Vernati Shieldmate, whereas Generous Stray can actually block 1/1s. I'm going to have another 2/2 on this board as well, so I'll have a lot of things on the board. I don't think it'll matter a whole lot. I'm going to go ahead and Severed Strands the Parhelion Patrol, sacking the Stray. Could even attack with Necrolisk here, but that would just be to trade with the 2/2 First Striker, which might be worth it. 2/2 First Strike Mentor, but Necrolisk did so much work last game. I don't want to disrespect it like that. Necrolisk is our best friend. This zombie lizard. It's a very good boy. Good zombie lizard. Demotion on the Necrolisk so that it can't block. Well, I guess that Necrolisk is going to be getting in there then. Send in the first striker. Why wouldn't you send in the token? Maybe they forgot how Mentor works. I'm going to trade with Vernati Shieldmate. Take 2. All right, Deadweight is a sick draw. Now I can kill the Stalwart and the Parhelion Patrol. I'm just gonna do that. Maybe they want to chump block here. I doubt they want to chump block, but I'll give them the opportunity. Let's Assassin's Trophy Parhelion Patrol attack with everybody. Highly, highly, highly doubt they chump block, but if they do, I could hold off and try to actually Plaguecraft or a real creature. Because I want to have that experience in my life. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Didn't have the mana to Plaguecrafter this turn anyway, so if I did that, I'd be holding off for a turn, taking a couple damage from the first striker. But it's okay. Candlelight Vigil, oh my god, the lifelink, it's a 4/3 Vigilant lifelinker now? The token is real now. The token itself is a real threat now. Now I actually want to Plaguecrafter it away. So if I Plaguecrafter, I'm going to trade my Plaguecrafter for their Goblin Crater Maker. And then I attack with Necrolisc and Dissident. But they can block Dissident well. So, Necrolisc can't block, so I'm not going to be able to block their 4/3. I kind of want to just send in here. And then I can Plaguecrafter sacrificing my Dissident if they don't do any blocks. Because then they sacrifice Crater Maker, I sacrifice Dissident. I now have a 3-power creature up and ready to block their 3 toughness attacker. I think that's the plan. Could also play the Crawl Swarm, I guess. But then Crater Maker's just going to shoot it and they're going to gain 4 more life. Kind of all in on the Plaguecrafter here. I'd be very surprised if they chose to sacrifice the token, but I'd be fine with that. Okay, so they do sacrifice the Crater Maker. We're presenting lethal damage to the 4/3, but they have a direct current. That card is very good. That can kill 2 things off of the 1 card. 3 mana to do 2 damage to any target, and then you can jumpstart it again later. If I play Crawl Swarm or Hired Poisoner, literally either of these things, they're just going to discard a land card to direct current it. So I may as well play the cheaper, weaker card. So let's send in the Necrolisc here, because it can't block anyway. They're definitely not going to trade because they're gaining 4 life a turn. Here's my Poisoner. Go ahead. Direct current on the Poisoner. No blocks left. I take 4. They go to 20. I'm down to 7. Burglar Rats. Makes him discard a card, but it doesn't present me any blockers, so I gotta just Crawl Swarm here. Yeah, that made me just realize I probably should have just dropped Crawl Swarm first, actually. Now that I think of it. I should have just played the more expensive one first, because I was only going to play one that turn, period. And if I played the more expensive one first, I would be able to play 2 cards in 1 turn, like Hired Poisoner and Burglar Rat later if I drew another cheap card. So there's Legion Guildmage. They can spend 6 and tap it and deal 3 to each opponent. That is the part I'm really scared of. My Child of Night is gone, so like my only life gain is gone. I can make them discard the only card in their hand now with Burglar Rat, so that's really fun. That's awesome. Discard that Color the Culprit. Ooh, that would have killed my Hatchery Spider, so I'm all about that. So I die in 3 turns to Legion Guildmage shenanigans. So I gotta, like, get in with Undercity Necrolisc. Oh, and I can't even use its abilities with the demotion either. It's not just that it can't block. It can't block and can't use its abilities. So it's just a 3/3 attacking them every turn. Alright, well, that gets sent in. I have to hold Crawl Swarm back because I can't let them just gain 4 life off of me. Like, I could block with these things, but I couldn't trade unless I leave Crawl Swarm back. So it could also, like... It could also get them to consider tapping down Crawl Swarm and attacking. I would be happier if they tapped down Crawl Swarm and attacked than if they just tapped Guildmage and did 3 damage to me. That is the most terrifying thing they could do. They can gain all the life they want and sit there stabilizing as long as they can. As long as they're not putting me down to 4 and then down to 1 and then down to 0. I do really need to draw removal for the Legion Guildmage now. And I've used Severed Strands, I've used Assassin's Trophy, I've used Deadweight, so I still have Deadly Visit and Prey Upon. That is what I need. Please let me draw that stuff, universe. Oh, they're just going to send in. Are we going to do the trade? We're going to do the trade, and then they're going to start doing 3 damage to me every turn. So they go to 18. They've got 1 card in hand. Okay. I could discard Hatchery Spider to pick up Crawl Swarm. That seems insane. So Legion Guildmage does 3 damage to me. I go to 4. 3 damage, I go to 1. I have 2 combats to kill them, and they're at 18. I don't think I can get there. I attack for 5 right now. They go to... I guess I don't attack for 5 because Burglar Rat doesn't get in. So I attack for 4. They go to 14. There's no way I can get in there. I straight up just have to draw a removal spell. So, if that is the case, what is like the safest way I can play this out? Let's get... let's just send in with the Necrolisc, I guess? So I can block a Sky Knight Legionnaire if they don't tap down my Imp. Sky Knight Legionnaire, of course, 3 mana, 2/2 flying haste in Boros. Now I play an Iron Shell Beetle. Buff up the Imp to 2/2 so it could trade with a Sky Knight Legionnaire if they don't tap it down. And pass turn, I have 1 opportunity to draw Deadly Visit or Prey Upon. I could also have Pilfering Imp to their hand to hope that they don't have any direct burn to my face, but if they have any direct burn to my face, I'm going to die regardless. Like, I think it's way more likely they just had a land they sandbagged to try to get me to sacrifice my Imp for nothing. So, might as well save it to defend against Sky Knight Legionnaire. That seems slightly more likely. So I could discard to Crawl Swarm to get it back to my hand right now, but then Hatchery Spider is gone. I just have Crawl Swarm instead. Any turn in which I'm casting Crawl Swarm next turn, or any game in which I cast Crawl Swarm next turn is a game in which I lose. Because then I just tap out for Crawl Swarm, take 3, go to 1, they untap it their turn, and I die. So I don't think I need to do that right now. I'm not going to do that. Forest is not a removal spell, so that is going to end my first Guilds of Ravnica Premier Draft run. I am very dead to Legion Guildmage's ability. I just have no way to defend against it. But we won enough games to get plenty of gems out of this, which is very nice. and just bonus packs for fun. Definitely had a good time in the format, and I am excited to do some more drafts. The drafting process in general, maybe I'm just tired and it's wonking me out. Oh my god, it's 1 p.m. This is like usually when I wake up. Okay, anyways. Yeah, maybe I'm just tired and it's wonking me out, but I feel like this draft was a weird one. Just with the distribution of the cards in the packs, we saw 2 of the same rare in the first pack, like right after each other. Multiple of the same uncommons that we were seeing. And other than that, it just looked like a bunch of nonsense. But I digress. Anyways, thank you all for watching as always. If you want to see more Magic Arena content such as drafts like this, stick around on the channel, and I will be back again tomorrow with more Guilds of Ravnica drafts. I'll see you all then.